We're back in Studio 61 now, and it is Women's History Month, and a new study from Fidelity shows women are still behind when it comes to retirement savings and investments. And joining me right now here in the studio is Megan Trask from Connecticut Wealth Management with some tips for women on how we can get ahead. Megan, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me and dedicating space to this topic.
Absolutely. First off, let's talk about the financial gap between men and women. How large is it still?
It's still pretty large, and as evidenced even by Google search, we talk quite a bit about the income inequalities that exist. Women earn less, but they're also saving and accumulating less wealth, meaning they have fewer investments, they have less in savings, they have fewer homes, fewer cars, and that is potentially an even more impactful issue than just income alone.
Right. Well, let's talk about, before we get to the retirement or the 401k, we have to talk about getting the job. What should women keep in mind when we go in there, when we're looking for the job and you're in the negotiating stage?
Yeah, and these two issues are so closely linked. The income one is part and probably the biggest contributor to the problem, and so that absolutely starts with advocating for yourself. Women tend to be more conservative than men, so taking some risks, not being afraid to advocate for what you think you deserve, and if you're in a job that you don't think you're being paid fairly, the labor market's still really strong. Look out there, look for better opportunities, and advocate for yourself, spend time on yourself on that decision.
Yeah, don't be afraid to speak up, right?
Yes.
All right, well, let's get to the retirement portion of this. Yeah. What do we need to keep in mind? I know women tend to, we put ourselves last. It's just sort of a tendency that we naturally have, but we need to pull back on that, right? We need to kind of check ourselves.
Yes. That conservatism serves women well in a lot of areas of their life, but when it comes to accumulating wealth, it can actually be an obstacle in achieving financial wellness and independence. So, investing in the stock market is a perfect example. Women tend to hold more of their savings in cash, and they're missing out on this opportunity to earn more money on that cash by investing in the stock market. And after years like 2022, you can see why people would be hesitant, but the stock market has a really long track record of providing growth to investors, and there's ways to mitigate the risks involved, and lots of tools online to help women do that. Investing in low-cost, diversified funds goes a long way to helping accumulate wealth versus just leaving your savings in cash. So that's a prime example of some strategies women can employ to improve that wealth gap.
Yeah, Megan, wondering if we could just speak to any woman out there at home. She's got a 401k, maybe an IRA, Roth or whatever, but she doesn't want a lot of risk. What would you suggest? Because it can be intimidating, the up and downs of it. So what would you suggest for lower risk, but still to have some gains?
Yes. Diversification is the tried and true way to mitigate those risks of the up and down of investing. So that means being in an investment vehicle that is invested across lots of different kinds of stocks, different size, different geographical regions. And again, there's lots of tools, particularly in 401k plans, retirement plans, that help women choose those investments to make that choice less intimidating. And then, again, just being comfortable with the plan and sticking with it and trying to take the emotion out of the investments and recognizing in the short term there is volatility and accepting that risk to know that it really pays off in the long run.
I wonder if you could talk for a moment to the women who are out there starting small businesses, starting businesses at home. We need to remember, or to remind them to invest still, because you can still do that even though you don't have a boss.
Yes.
You're your own boss, so you have to make those choices, right?
Definitely. So again, employer plans are an easy way to get started because there's a lot of resources in that area. If you don't have access to an employer plan, there are ways to do it yourself. There are individual retirement plans and brokerage plans out there. Places like Fidelity and Vanguard, they offer free accounts. You can set these up for free. They offer free investments, way to get exposure to this growth for free. So that is one of the positive developments. It's easier for the everyday person to access these investments and learn about these investments themselves online.
And again, it's for women to keep in mind, don't not do it.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, totally. Just get started, get past the intimidation. I think women feel they need to be an expert and research all their decisions. And I'm here to say even the experts don't get every investment decision right.
Right.
And that's not a reason not to start. You know, again, there's lots of really
With
great
everything, it's
resources.
just continuously learning,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
All right, Megan, thanks so much. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Important information, good reminders.